Well, at long last, Prince Harry has finally had his HRH title stripped from the royal family website. Buckingham Palace has ditched his title online 3 years after it was agreed that he would lose it following the Megxit deal. It took nearly as long as Brexit to enforce that, didn't it? This latest blow comes as Harry and Meghan see a slump in their popularity polls, although he's big in Japan. Harry's been in Japan and he's all smiles on his own. In fact, he said that he'd happily live there if they'd have him. I would personally like to ask the Japanese consulate if they would accept Prince Harry and therefore maybe block him from ever coming back here. But joining me now is royal broadcaster and commentator Rafe Haydo-Manku. Rafe, why has it taken so long for the royal family to strip Harry's HRH titles from their website?
Yes, you may well ask that. I must say that, yes, with regards to Japan, you know, in the 80s, you may well remember every band that had failed in Europe and America used to say, well, we're big in Japan. And it seems as if that's the same sort of line that Harry's now perhaps going to take by saying that he wouldn't mind moving there. But yes, it's taken 3 years for this to happen. It's a large update. It's not just for Harry and Meghan's HRH that we've seen some changes here. There were 74 references to the Queen still as being the current reigning monarch on the website. Many references to the King still being the Prince of Wales, to the Queen being Duchess of Cornwall, to William and Kate still being Duchess of Cambridge. So this is a larger overhaul. I mean, they really do need to keep their website in shape. I've noticed over the years some great howlers. These ones aren't that bad. It's just a failure to keep up with it. But in the past, they've ranked the Commonwealth realms in the wrong order of seniority. They've suggested that the wives of Prince Edward and Prince Charles, as he then was, weren't princesses. So there have been some howlers on there. So these aren't that bad, but yes, finally updated. And I suppose Meghan will be slightly peeved by all of this because I'm sure the fact that the official website of the royal family was still styling her as HRH must have given her some comfort and probably caused some confusion in California, where event organizers would have been looking to the website for guidance and perhaps have been calling her HRH for longer than she should have been.
Yes, and I very much doubt that she ever corrected them, of course. But should Meghan and Harry now stop calling themselves the Duke and Duchess of Sussex? How does this work then? Because, you know, they're not really, are they, anymore? But that's what they're dining out on. So just explain that to idiots like me.
So, yes, well, they have an honorific of His and Her Royal Highness, which they dropped 3 years ago, or were supposed to have dropped, because those are essentially honorifics, styles given to working members of the royal family. That's now currently the convention that we essentially have. To change them officially, to strip them of them, would require the king now to issue new letters patent or to make a formal declaration. Rather than embarrass them so publicly, he's very kindly just suggested that they don't use them, and they had agreed to that. Now, whether we'll see a formal stripping of those HRHs should they decide to launch any more attacks on the monarchy or behave inappropriately further, that remains to be seen. But in terms of their titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex, unfortunately, the king has no power over that. It would require an act of parliament to strip them of those titles. And given the mess that we're in with migrants and everything else, I don't think there'll be much patience to dedicate parliamentary time to that issue.
No, even if it would go down rather well with the public, actually, I think. But look, Rafe, thank you very much for your time. We certainly don't mind using up as much of that as possible here on GB News. That is royal broadcaster, commentator and fan favourite, Rafe Haydo-Manku. The pictures coming out of Harry in Japan, he looks happier on his own, doesn't he? Is that just me, really, that thinks that? It's kind of old smiley Harry. I mean, we'll know if it's really the old smiley Harry if we see him hitting the bars of downtown Tokyo in a few hours' time, won't we?